My installation is called The Waiting Room. It is a commentary on both boredom and anticipation for things to come, and it is also used to show that people cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. We begin in the waiting room. At the focus of the room is our main character. He sits in a blank room with only a few books and a pen to entertain himself. Over time, this setting will generate a fairly strong sense of boredom within the visitor. The visitor views the waiting room on a screen. The screen is set up in the same location where the filming took place, which is just one of many discoveries that await the visitor. As new visitors come into the scene, there is ample room for them to come and participate. On the screen, our character continues to dawdle, passing through books with little to no interest. Yes, at this point, the visitor should start to become restless, seeing as they have now seen nothing spectacular for over a minute. However, it is up to them whether or not they wish to stick around to see what happens. It is the anticipation of something better to come that clings. As the visitors continue to observe the character in the waiting room, they begin to collaborate and start pointing out certain discoveries. One person notes that the same books and pen, which are shown on the screen, are also present in real life, generating a sense that the character was actually in that room at some point. Someone else points out a suspicious tablet which is situated in the room. This will come into play later. Visitors also notice that the color of the room has all but faded. Only the blue of the character's shirt remains. This adds to both senses of drudgery and anticipation. At what seems to be a breaking point, the character stands and an indistinct sound bursts from the tablet in the real room. Since this noise has been the only change in the environment for the past couple of minutes, attention is immediately drawn to this different object. Anticipation builds as the character begins to pace about the room. The purpose of this tablet is to provide the space with which the character may exit his current situation. At first, without any indication of importance, only minor attention in the form of suspicion was given to the object. Now, however, with sound being emitted from it and with our character becoming more active, more attention shifts to the item on the ground. Though it doesn't happen immediately, the visitors begin to notice that when the character leaves the frame of the waiting room, he moves into the screen of the tablet. This is the biggest discovery of the piece. It so happens that out of confusion and luck, one visitor will stumble upon the finding. By both physical and verbal communication, this visitor will indicate his discoveries to others, who will shift themselves accordingly. What is being viewed here are the three settings currently in play. The waiting room is in the top right, the other world is in the bottom right, and the real world is on the left. Initially, visitors express their excitement as there has been a massive shift in action and a discovery has been made. The visitors move to gather around the tablet as more anticipation of what the character will do next builds. It is strangely entertaining to view the character move in a method which resembles teleportation like in the video game Portal. Eventually, the character stands and begins to make more drastic movements. The visitors can feel his desire to leave the waiting room altogether. When this jump is officially made, all eyes move to the tablet, and fewer and less frequent glances are paid to the original screen. This next section was designed to comment on people's permanent need to follow the action, which can be very consuming. Little attention is given to past relics or places which seem to be uninhabited or carry little significance. What matters is the drama, and eventually the old fades. What is ironic is that the visitors are actually viewing nothing significant at all. Rather, the character begins dancing violently to the point where he appears to be losing his mind. In the end, the character loses his steam. What he didn't realize was the poisonous effects of the other world. An attempt to call both the character and the visitor back, the waiting room begins to flash. As expected, not one visitor sheds an eyelash. Even as the waiting room nears complete darkness, it gets no love from the visitors. Once the character is out of the scene altogether, the visitors are left with nothing at all. After all is said and done, the lights come back to the waiting room, signifying a permanence in some things. Though the character is no longer there, the color has returned and the room actually seems inviting. Thus, though often neglected in favor of more moving images, the waiting room will always remain waiting to be noticed and appreciated.